In Module 5, Section 6, we will look at three special products when multiplying polynomials. When multiplying two binomials, the distributive property can easily be remembered as the FOIL method. F represents the product of first terms, O represents the product of outside terms, I represents the product of inside terms, and L represents the product of last terms. Let's try an example. Multiply y minus 12 and y plus 4. These are both binomials because each polynomial contains two terms. And so I'm going to start by drawing my multiplication arrows. In this case, though, because there are only 4 multiplication arrows, we can remember that with the FOIL. So F means first, or the first term in each binomial being multiplied together, which in this case would be y times y, or y squared. O represents the outside terms, so the terms that are furthest away from one another. In this case, that would be y times 4, or 4y. I represents the inside terms, the terms closest to one another, which would be negative 12 times y, or negative 12y. And the last represent the two last terms from each set of parentheses, which would be negative 12 times 4, which is negative 48. Once we have all 4 products, we put those together and combine like terms. So this would become y squared plus 4y minus 12y minus 48. We can combine the y's together, and that gives us y squared minus 8y minus 48. Let's try another example. Here we want to multiply 2x minus 4 and 7x plus 5. So we draw our FOIL arrows first, outer, inner, and last. So looking at the first product, 2x times 7x is 14x squared. Then we look at the outer product, 2x times 5 is 10x. Then the inner product, negative 4 times 7x is negative 28x. And the last product, negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. We can combine like terms with the x's. And the simplified expression will be 14x squared minus 18x minus 20. In the process of using the FOIL method on products of certain types of binomials, we can see specific patterns that lead to special products. And we will have 2 different types. The first is when we square a binomial. A binomial squared is equal to the 2 equations we see below. A plus b, if we square that, that becomes a squared plus 2ab, which is twice the product of each term, plus b squared. If instead we have a minus sign, it will be the difference. So we will take the negative 2 times the product of a and b. Just remember, in a nutshell, if we have a binomial squared, to write that binomial twice, x plus 6 times x plus 6. Remember, the exponent stands for repeated multiplication. Do not square the first term and square the second term. That will not give you the same answer. If you will remember to write your binomial 2 times, because our exponent is 2, and then just draw the FOIL arrows, you will not need to remember those formulas that were shown on the last page. So x plus 6 squared is x plus 6 times x plus 6. We draw our FOIL arrows first, outer, inner, and last. The first product, x times x, is x squared. The outer product, x times 6, is 6x. The inner product, 6 times x, is also 6x. And the last product, 6 times 6, is 36. Combining our like terms in the middle gives us x squared plus 12x plus 36. We can also multiply the sum and difference of 2 terms. So one binomial, we are adding 2 terms. The second binomial has the same 2 terms, but they are being subtracted. And when that happens, the outer and inner products cancel, and we're left with the square of the first term minus the square of the second term. Again, you don't have to remember that's the case when you see something that should give you a special product. If you will just draw your FOIL arrows, work it out, you will find out eventually that your outer and inner products cancel. even if you don't remember that to begin with. So here we have 2x plus 4 times 2x minus 4. We've drawn the FOIL arrows. Let's go through our 4 products. So starting with the first, 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Then the outer, 2x times negative 4 is minus 8x. The inner, 4 times 2x is a positive 8x. And the last, 4 times negative 4 is minus 16. When we combine like terms, negative 8x and positive 8x cancel, and we are left with 4x squared minus 16. Let's try a few more examples. Here we have 5a plus 3 times 5a minus 3. Again, if we just draw our FOIL arrows, first, outer, inner, and last, we will see that this is a special product, even if we didn't remember the formula. We look at the first product, 5a times 5a is 25a squared. Then the outer product, 5a times negative 3 is negative 15a. The inner product, 3 times 5a, is a positive 15a. And the last product, 3 times negative 3, is a negative 9. We combine our a's, and since they're opposites, they cancel, and we're left with 25a squared minus 9. Similarly, on part B, AC plus 2D times AC minus 2D. We draw our FOIL arrows first, outer, inner, and last. The first product, 8C times 8C, gives 64C squared. The outer product, 8C times negative 2D, gives negative 16CD. The inner product, 2D times 8C, gives a positive 16, and I'm going to write my variables in alphabetical order. If we do that every time, we shouldn't ever lose like terms because our variables are in the opposite places. And then our last product, 2D times negative 2D is a negative 4D squared. We combine like terms in the middle, the CD terms cancel, and we are left with 64C squared minus 4D squared. Let's try a couple of more examples on the next slide. We have 3x minus 9y, and that binomial is squared. Remember, don't square each term. Instead, write the binomial twice, because the exponent represents repeated multiplication. Once we do so, we use the FOIL method. We draw our arrows first, outer, inner, and last. That will give us 3x times 3x is 9x squared. Then we go to the outer product. 3x times negative 9y is negative 27xy. The inner product, negative 9y times 3x, is a negative 27. I write my variables in alphabetical order, negative 27xy. And the last product, negative 9y times negative 9y, is a positive 81y squared. When we combine our like terms in the middle, this becomes 9x squared minus 54xy plus 81y squared. Let's go to the next example. We have 7/3 a squared minus 1 times 7/3 a squared plus 1. It doesn't matter if fractions are involved or not. We still use the FOIL method. First, outer, inner, and last. So starting with the first product, 7/3 a squared times 7/3 a squared. Remember, with fractions, you multiply the numerators, and then you multiply the denominators. We're going to add our exponents with the a's. Then we go to the outer product. 7/3 a squared times a positive 1 is positive 7/3 a squared. Inner product, negative 1 times 7/3 a squared is minus 7/3 a squared. And then the last product, negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. We combine like terms, and our two middle products cancel out, and we're left with 49 over 9, a to the 4th, minus 1.